going on, Jerome's? So a major move for the Vikings this offseason was unfortunately letting go of Danielle Hunter. I will remember you. But he signed a very nice deal with the Houston Texans, returning back to his hometown. And the Vikings, basically, the Vikings and Texans traded edge rushers without compensation. Although both teams will be eligible for compensatory picks. But the Vikings bring aboard Jonathan Greenard, getting a little bit younger at the edge rusher position. And Danielle, it is what it is. And like we said, Danielle will go down as one of the best edge rushers in Vikings franchise history. Huge value for a third-round pick in 2015 from 87.5 career sacks, 6 on the Vikings all-time sack list, and was just fantastic. A team-first defensive player where he set the edge against the run. He wasn't all about cherry-picking stats, and he was a force for a number of years. Came back through a herniated disc. In his neck, as well as a torn pec, and had a career season in a contract year. But for whatever reason, the Vikings and Danielle, they couldn't come to an accord on a long-term deal over the last 3 off seasons, and just sort of it is what it is. But now the Vikings are moving forward with Jonathan Greenard as a talisman on the edge, and basically, what's interesting is that these guys, like we said, it's a trade without compensation. And, Greenard signed his deal on the 11th, the 4-year, $76 million deal with $42 million guaranteed. And then the next day, Danielle signed his 2-year, $49 million deal, which is always funny to me. So it's a $49 million deal with $48 million guaranteed. We're holding out that $1 million just in case it doesn't work out. But Danielle does get a little bit shorter of a deal, which would allow him to hit the market again in 2 seasons, but we'll see what happens. Long story longer, ESPN's sports analytics writer Seth Walder, Grand Poobah, longtime writer on the subject, dove into the ins and outs of the Vikings deal with Greenard, as well as the Texans deal with Danielle Hunter in the ESPN piece. NFL free agency, trade grades 2024, best worst moves. So blah, 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 with Danielle. After losing Jonathan Greenard to Minnesota, Texans didn't wait long to fill the edge rusher spot opposite of Will Anderson Jr. In fact, Greenard and Hunter simply switched places. Just said that. Blah, blah, blah. Players with a sack production record like Danielle don't often reach free agency, which is why this is maybe $1 to $2 million less than I would have guessed Hunter would receive. In Hunter, Houston is receiving a bona fide number 1 edge rusher with consistent sack production. He is coming off a 16.5 sack season. So she said, but also had a double-digit sacks in 4 of the past 5 seasons that he played. He missed 2020 with a neck injury, and he only played 7 games in the year he didn't hit double digits, which is 2021 with the torn pec. Oddly, given that production, Hunter does not fare as well in other pass rushing metrics. His 14% pass rush win rate at edge last season is slightly below the 16% average for the position. It was an outlier either. Hunter's pass rush win rate at edge has been between 12 to 15% in each season. He has played since 2017 when the metric began. His pressure rate similarly is a remarkable 10% average for qualifying edge rushers, and Hunter consistently fares poorly in run stop win rate. But other than that, with all that, would give me major pause if he had only a single season of strong sack performance, but he has made major he has made a career of generating more sacks than you'd expect for someone with his underlying performance. Well, mainly it is that Danielle, he isn't like TJ. He isn't like Myles Garrett, where he's put in a position to only generate sacks. All the respect to Myles Garrett. Like Danielle has consistently done the dirty work, played left side, strong side for the most bulk of his career under Zimmer. So that does factor in. Some pass rushers are better finishers, excelling in the latter half of the pass rush as opposed to getting a quick jump or beating their block right away, and that's okay. They're related but different skills. Hunter is like the reverse Jadeveon Clowney in this respect. Clowney wins right away but struggles to bring down the quarterback, so I would expect Hunter's sack production to continue. Hunter is 29 years young, though it's not unreasonable to expect him to continue to perform over the next 2 years. He has played 17 games in back-to-back seasons, which is important because a lot of people poo-pooed him with the neck injury as well as a pec injury, blah, blah, blah. I'm grading this deal just for the situation Houston found itself in Tuesday post-Greenard loss, but I would be more critical if I included choosing Hunter over Greenard. This is a take, granted, but I'll prefer Greenard to Hunter because he's younger, has better advanced metrics, and is a better run defender. And that's before looking at the difference in price. But with Greenard gone, Houston did well to add Hunter at a time when the team's rookie quarterback contract winning window is wide open. So that certainly is high praise from Walder in that spot. And I know the Walder's poo-pooing on Danielle's run defense, except I really don't care what the metrics say. Just seeing with the eyeballs, like Danielle was a force against the run for a number of years with the Vikings. But in terms of how things stack up with their numbers from last season, just the black and white numbers, not advanced metrics. So Greenard turns 27 in May. Danielle turns 30 in October. So effectively, you have a player who's 3 years younger. And with Greenard, he had his career high 12.5 sacks last season, first year with D'Amico Ryans and company, also opposite of Will Anderson. So yes, that does factor in. Danielle 16.5, getting after things. And basically, Danielle was the Vikings pass rush last year. Wanham contributed with 8, except basically Danielle and sometimes DJ were the only ones who consistently could get a pass rush. It was very inert from the interior. But with Greenard, you are betting on the ascension, and Danielle, has probably peaked at this point. And yes, he is going to be on the wrong side of 30, but I think that he still can succeed for all the reasons why Greenard succeeded last year. D'Amico Ryans 1, Will Anderson 2. His pressure rate was 12%. Danielle was at 13% last season. Danielle tied for the lead in tackles for loss with 23 with Max Crosby, and Greenard put in 15. And also, Danielle had 4 forced fumbles versus Greenard's 1. But Danielle, is making premium coin. $24.5 million per season on his 2-year deal. Greenard $19 million over his 4-year deal, which is effectively a 1-year deal. But I do understand what Walter is saying in this spot, where Greenard, according to the events metrics, it plays the run better, as well as he is younger, as well as he's probably better suited for what Flores wants to do defensively. Danielle adapted very nicely over the last 2 years under Donachelle and Flores, but you fully understand what Greenard is going to bring to the table. And I understand Danielle, and my heart said pay Danielle, suture him up long term, still one of the best edge rushers in the game. But with the head and with Kwesi going to the money ball approach, this did make more sense, where you have a young player whose best years are still ahead of him, as well as you get him in the thick of his prime from 27 to 30, as well as he's averaging $5 million a year younger. Plus, you do have 2 extra years of team-friendly control on the back end of that contract. So I don't want to get into a comparison contest. But although it's going to be unavoidable, as the Vikings also play the Texans this year. But essentially, you had a 1-for-1 swap on the edge, and they're going to be compared to for the next couple of years, and so it is what it is. But I think that it could be a spot where both sides win, where Houston gets a great leader, they get a great edge rusher in Danielle, who heads home, and the Vikings get younger as they have this facelift as the team skews younger, and they're going to build around their future franchise quarterback, and it's exactly what Flores and Kwesi and Kevin O'Connell want to do. So I think it can be a win-win, but we'll see. But your thoughts are thoughts. ESPN's sports analytics writer Seth Walder says that he prefers Jonathan Greenard over Danielle Hunter. Listen to your thoughts and our thoughts and his thoughts in the comment section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. Want to support the work? Put a little something in the Venmo. But till next time, Skull Production Value.